good evening, and welcome back to Let's Talk Destiny Talk Show. I am your host, Jamie Green, and once again, I'm honored and blessed to be able to come and share with you. Tonight, I'm just thrilled to have a very special young lady with me. She has been an inspiration to me because she is a lupus warrior. And many of you know that I battle sarcoidosis and all that drama that goes with that. And so Tonya Johnson is a lupus warrior, and I just love her transparency and how she shares, her story, and she's not afraid to let us see the good days, the bad days, the ugly days, and all of that. And that's very encouraging to me. So if you want to go ahead and share the video to your individual pages, be sure to listen in. Tanya will share some good information with us that will help us to know more about this autoimmune disease that affects millions of people in the country. So first, I want to say that Let's Talk Destiny is sponsored this month by the independent film My Father the Queen, written by Lisa Alexander. And this particular film it explores the relationship of a closeted gay black man and his family, and how they heal through some family dynamics that lots of us are familiar with. And so they are sponsoring the show this month, and I want to thank them and to acknowledge them. I also want to remind you to check out our YouTube channel, Let's Talk Destiny and A Mother's Cry. There are some phenomenal conversations and videos there that will bless your life. And tonight's conversation will be one of those as well. Tonight, I'm blessed to have my guest, Ms. Tonya Johnson. And as I said earlier, Tonya is an inspiring lupus warrior and advocate. She has battled this horrible autoimmune disease for 45 years. Tonya is Ms. Lupus International, representing Gibson Lupus ARC. She is also a loving mother and grandmother. She's a caterer and cake artist. And a lot of times I see on Facebook some of her amazing baking, pastries, cook cakes, whatever. And I'm like thinking, boy, I wish I lived next door to her. But she is an artist, and she has her own business called Cookies by Ms. Tonya. She is also a published author of 2 cookbooks, and she daily motivates so many of us. So I want to stop at this time and say welcome to Let's Talk Destiny, Tonya.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we get into talking about the lupus piece of the conversation, tell us a little bit about Tanya. What are some of your hobbies? Talk to us about your family. What makes you smile?
Okay, I'm 54 years old, and my main hobby is cooking. Even though that's my job, I don't feel like I'm at a job. And I have two sons. One is 29 and one is 23. And I love my grandson, Diesel. And let me see. And I enjoy making friends. And what makes me smile is I'm still living. I was told I wasn't going to live past my 20s, but look at God, I'm still here.
Wow. I know that's right. I know that's right. So, Tanya, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Let's Talk Destiny is a purpose driven format. And by that, I mean, I like to always talk to people about their purpose, their life purpose, their divine purpose, and how they're fulfilling that purpose in their life. So, what would you say is your purpose in life?
Right now, I feel my purpose is to spread the knowledge of lupus, leukemia, fibromyalgia, and Sargent's diseases, and how you can go rock bottom and still live a fulfilling life.
I love that. And that's one of the things that encourages me about watching you. I don't say much to you, I don't reach out to you much, but I watch you a lot. And you are a major encouragement to me because, as I said, I deal with this sarcoidosis, and that's bad enough.
Yes,
The constant aching, the breathing
right.
issues, the fatigue. Oh my God. I told somebody some days it feels like I'm sitting in mud, like I just can't even move.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but then I will see something that you've posted with regard to what you're dealing with, and it encourages me to just go on a little bit further. And I just wanted to publicly tell you that you inspire me, and I'm blessed to be able to be connected to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, so I don't know why my laptop is doing that, but talk to us about lupus. What exactly is lupus?
Okay, lupus is a autoimmune disease that attacks your body on the inside, which with me, it took a kidney from me. I also have discoid lupus where you have the scarring on your body. Like, I don't know if you all can see it, but
Okay.
transparent. So you get these spots all over your body, your head, even in your mouth. It's just everywhere. And
Wow.
lupus makes your joints swell. And some days you can't even move. Only thing you can move is your eyelids. And it's extremely painful.
Yeah,
You have to be a real soldier to deal with this.
absolutely. So, at what age were you diagnosed, and what were the symptoms that you had?
Okay, my symptoms started when I was 9 years old. My eyes used to run blood like tears. Instead of tears, it was blood running from my eyes.
Oh, man.
Whenever I would go outside to try to play with my friends and things, I would always end up hurting, but didn't know why. It took them till I was 25 years old to actually diagnose me correctly.
Wow. Also, we have. I want to let our audience know, if you have any questions or comments for Tonya, please feel free to write them down, and we will answer them as we can. Ms. Joyce Brown is always supporting the show. She always supports me, and she's saying good evening to us. And I want to thank you so much for taking time to join us.
Hi, Miss Brown.
Okay, so um, it had to be frightening, like just all of a sudden your childhood is like taken away from you. You can't just be free to just go out and run around and play and this, that, and other. How did this diagnosis affect your life when you were younger, before you became an advocate for others?
It kept me from being outside with my friends. When I was about to graduate from high school, well, I used to be a size 00, and when I graduated, I blew up really big from taking the steroids. It,
Yes.
people saying that I was pregnant and stuff, and that wasn't the case. It was just the medications I was on. And when I went to college, I used to have problems, and I was always at the emergency room because I was in extreme pain, didn't understand what was going on. Skin would change colors. I would get these ugly marks all over my body, didn't understand.
Wow. And so, as you have grown and matured and became a mother and a grandmother, um, you research lupus and you study about it. And this is one of the things I really want the audience to get from this conversation tonight. Ms. Joyce says she also has family members and friends that have lupus, and so she's interested in learning more about it. And this is the reason why I invited you to the show, because a lot of times we hear about these things, and we feel bad for the person because we're like, oh my God, he doesn't feel good, she doesn't feel good. But that's about it. Like, We don't
Right.
really understand the depth of what it's like to deal with these diseases on a daily basis. And so I wanted you to come today because I love your transparency, um, and your honesty, even on the days, like you said, when you have the flare ups,
Right.
um, and you end up like in the hospital and you shared those experiences. What was the latest flare up like for you?
Okay, my last major flare up was last March. I went in the hospital with blood pressure 408 over 290. I had a mask on. Well, my son came home and found me with my mouth trembling and my face had turned.
Wow.
So he had to rush me to the hospital. And when I got there, they pulled the mask off and they saw that I was having a stroke. I remember them going on the PA screaming, stroke victim, stroke victim. They rushed me back. And I go to St. Joseph Emory in Atlanta because they know my history and they do a wonderful job with lupus. So with this particular stroke, I was in so much pain. It had gotten to the point I couldn't even talk or anything. And I was in ICU, I think at least 15 days. Because when I did get out the hospital, it was in April, it was Easter.
Wow.
And so I couldn't walk but by myself without assistance. I had to use a walker. Um, it was rough, especially being away from my son that long.
Yeah. Tanya, you mentioned something that I definitely want to address, and that is the care that you receive at the hospital that
Mm-hmm.
you favor. And I want to address how important it is um, to be cared for by people that care.
Right,
One of my issues, and I know you may have experience with all the medical experiences that you've had with medical care professionals or whatever. One of the things that annoys me the most is to feel unheard
right.
by the person that's supposed to be helping me heal.
Okay.
Um, and when I was diagnosed with the sarcoidosis, even to today, I was diagnosed in 2016. I
Okay.
still, to this day, meet medical professionals that do not know what sarcoidosis is. When I
Right.
say I have it, they're like, "How do you spell that? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you serious?" Like,
Right.
so how do you deal with um and now that you're blessed to be able to have caregivers that understand your history and they understand what you're going through, that is a major blessing.
Right.
But how have you dealt with the experiences where you come across people that need to provide care for you but they don't understand how to provide care?
Okay. I had this one particular doctor that was at Atlanta Medical Center that said it was nothing wrong with me. I looked perfect. Even though the test said a whole different thing, I was almost at stroke level then. And so I had to walk away from him because, come to find out, he had a pleasure of watching his patients go through pain and didn't do anything. But I've been blessed to have the same doctors for the last 25 years. And the care that they give me is not by the textbook. They go outside the box because they know if I come in, I'm in extreme pain because I
Yeah,
have a high tolerance of pain. And I don't like to take pain meds and stuff like that. So they know if I'm there, I'm sick.
yeah. And that's a blessing because like I said, one of the most frustrating things for me has been trying to get care from people that don't really seem to be interested in learning how to care for me.
Right,
Or like you say, I've had several doctors say to me, and nurses and other medical professionals, that I'm the one that went to medical school and I know if there's something wrong with you, and I don't see anything wrong with you. Um, and I respond, I'm glad you went to medical school. I'm glad you graduated and all that.
mm-hmm.
But I live with this body every day. And
Correct.
so I know something when something is wrong.
Correct.
And I like that you say you have a team that, number one, they know you well enough to know that if you do come in, there is an issue.
Yes.
Um, and I remember not too long ago, I was concerned because you were having problems, I think, getting your medication.
Yes, with this one particular
Oh
doctor.
my God, that really bothered me. Like I kept trying to figure out what can I do.
That's how I ended up in the flare where I had the strokes.
Wow,
Hmm. She lost her license because of me.
wow. Well, yeah, obviously she didn't need them.
No.
Um, so I talk, I mentioned this several times since we've been talking about your transparency and your honesty, and how it helps other people. Why do you choose to be so transparent about your lupus journey?
Because when I was quiet, it I wasn't healing myself. I needed to tell my story. And my story really began before I became adopted. My lupus is hereditary.
Okay,
And a lot of people don't know that lupus can be hereditary. And I decided to stop being shameful for what was going on with me and speak up because I found out it was not too many people knew what lupus was.
right.
And I was tired of living in silence. So I became an advocate for lupus.
I love it. I love it. So, lupus can be hereditary. That is one of the things that I've learned about a lot of these autoimmune diseases.
Right?
Number one is uh, they can be hereditary, but
Mm-hmm.
then there's a lot of them that doctors honestly just don't know. Like they
Right.
just say, we don't know how you get it, we don't know where it came from, we can't say specifically who will get it, how long you had, not any of that. And so we need people such as yourself that deal with it and live with it to
Mm-hmm.
be advocates, to answer questions for people such as myself and Miss Joyce and others that really want to know. We want to know about these diseases so we know how to um, help our loved ones that are going through these things.
Right.
And one of the other things that I find in dealing with these autoimmune diseases or autoinflammatory diseases is there are many cases where people are misdiagnosed.
Correct.
They're either misdiagnosed or not diagnosed.
Correct.
What do you say about that?
Okay. You're correct about being misdiagnosed because I was misdiagnosed from 9 years old to 25. And
Wow.
they didn't me correctly until I was pregnant with my oldest son. And then they thought I only had gestational lupus, but I had the real deal.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
And
So,
see, I didn't even know that there were different types of lupus.
oh yes, it is. It's supposed to
Wow.
be in different types. I can't
Wow.
name them, but it's 10. I remember my doctor telling me that.
Wow.
And with lupus, with autoimmune diseases, other autoimmune diseases piggybacks off that illness. Like I
Okay.
have lupus, then I have fibromyalgia, which is painful, Sargon, which is very painful, and then to top it off, my newest thing is leukemia. And I've had
Oh,
leukemia
wow.
for years, and they didn't know what it was. What I
Oh,
was
my
going,
goodness.
they put it on the lupus, but then my doctor said, no, I need to run further tests because some of the things that are happening to you are dealing with leukemia. And it
Wow, Tonya. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am
it's
so
okay.
sorry.
Don't be sorry for me because I'm good. I
I,
really
I know. I mean, I'm not feeling sorry for you, like, oh, poor Tanya. I just don't like, I know pain. I
yes.
know, I can't remember a day since I can't remember not being in pain. It's been so
I-
long.
I've had probably 10 good days of no pain since diagnosed at 25.
Wow. Isn't that
I'm in
something?
pain every single day, but I choose not to let that pain take over my life.
Yeah.
So I get up,
So,
smile, and do what I have to do.
yeah. So we don't let the pain um, dictate our lives, govern our lives. We use the pain to motivate us and to push us forward in our purpose and to share with other people. So,
Correct.
talk to us about the pageants. I've seen that you've been in some pageants. I see your little tiara up there.
Yes.
Um, Talk to us about some of the pageants and the other community advocacy that you're involved in.
Okay. Well, I used to be Miss Randolph Clay, my high school queen, and I've done modeling, but I ran for a purpose to hear my voice, and that is the reason why I ran for Miss Lupus International, to get my platform either much larger.
Yes.
And this pageant is very special to me and dear to heart. And I thank Miss Gibson for doing this pageant every year. And so far, I've been reigning Miss Lupus International for 2 years now. They haven't replaced me.
You better go ahead, girl. That's awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome.
And we have a Mr. Lupus International also, Emmett Henderson, which he's been Mr. Lupus International, I think going on 3 years now.
All right. You better go ahead. I'm happy. I'm proud of you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you think I'm not paying attention, but I'm watching what you're doing over there. And I'm very proud of you and inspired by you. So, other than the pageants, what other advocacy venues are you using right now?
Okay, well, my doctor office uses me a lot because we have young kids that are being diagnosed with lupus, and I have mentored a lot of them to help them walk through the journey of lupus
Yes.
and try to give them information like stay out of the sun, use
Yeah.
sunscreen, and I tell them different signs to look for so they'll know when they're having a flare or not.
Okay. That's powerful. So advocacy and mentorship. And I love that because a lot of people, and I'm sure you know some people as well as I do, would rather just sit back and complain
Right,
um, that, my life is over. I can't do anything. I'm just miserable. And they're missing out on so much.
right. You
Uh,
have mind over matter.
that's right.
That's the
That's
thing.
right.
And no, my
Absolutely.
main motto is no matter how you go rock bottom, you always come back up. Never give in.
And I want to talk about also your family because I notice when you talk about your instances where you've been in the hospital or you've had major flare ups or even when you had strokes or what have you, that your sons were right there with you. Tell us how important it is to have people supporting you, holding you up, and being there for you in the good times and the bad times.
Oh, that is very important to get through this disease. You need someone that you can vent to or rely on when you need help, even when you don't need help. And my family, they surround me with love. Like I found I told you I was adopted, and
Yes.
my mother found my biological family. And not only my sons look out for me, so does my sisters and brothers.
Awesome.
I had a brother to come up from Texas to see me when I was in the hospital. I have a sister in Columbus. Pick up the phone, she's here. So I have a great support system. And you really need that because sometimes you can't do for yourself, but
Yes.
people that know you and know what you're going through, they can help you get through anything.
Yes. And that is important. Like, and even as I was thinking as you were talking,
I,
this is
my sorry.
that's okay. I know what you were saying. I mean, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I was thinking even as you were talking, Sometimes you need people that are there, that you don't have to explain every little thing to when you're having a bad day, when you don't feel good, you don't feel like talking. They just know.
Right.
And and that support is so important to help you get to the next phase on your journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But
So
I want
go
to
ahead.
end. I the one thing that I cannot stand is someone that has not walked into my shoes and they try to give me advice like rest. When you have an autoimmune disease, people don't realize you cannot rest. And I think people should stop trying to give advice when they don't know what's going on, especially when they haven't walked in the shoes of autoimmune disease.
Yeah. I think that's a really good piece of advice. I think sometimes ask me,
Right,
what do I need? Um, what do I need in this moment? What I
right.
need right now might not be what I need tomorrow or yesterday. Ask me what I
True.
need. Is there anything you can do to help me right now? Just don't, like, because that is so frustrating. Like, I've
It
had
is.
people say to me, well, you need to get up and you need to go outside and you need to get some air and you need to get some sun.
Amen.
And first of all, when you have sarcoidosis, um, you have to be careful being in the sun. So
Correct.
these are things that you need to research and learn about before you start telling people what to do. When a
Correct.
person has lupus, you don't know exactly which parts of their body are being affected at that particular time.
Mhm.
Ask questions instead of just giving advice. That was a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Because sometimes it's just best to sit there and just be there and not even open your mouth, or just let the person talk to you and
Yeah.
go from there. But don't just assume that rest takes care of everything. Because people don't realize when you take prednisone, that takes away your sleep. When you take prednisone, you get big as a house. And see, now I can't take prednisone because it causes me to have stroke.
Okay. And see, and that's important. That's another piece that is so important. You have to know what you can use and can't use, and you
Right.
need medical staff that knows that. I remember when I first was diagnosed with sarcoidosis. Of course, I was put on prednisone. I was on prednisone for 4 years
Hmm.
before I got a new doctor, a new pulmonologist. And when he said to me, he was looking at my prescription list, and he says, "So how long have you been on the prednisone?" And I told him. He said, "Are you serious?"
Yeah,
He
that's
said, "Who put somebody on prednisone for 4 years?" He said, "The damage to your liver, the damage to your kidneys. I had lost 67 pounds, and I found every bit of that back once I got on the prednisone."
oh yes.
Um, so he's like, "No, no, 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 we're stopping that right now." And
Hmm.
so that's why you have to be connected to a medical professional that knows you, knows what you need, and knows what you can handle.
Right.
Absolutely.
And a doctor that has good faith. Trust.
Absolutely.
I was in a coma one time at St. Joseph. I woke up and the nurse was at the foot of my bed praying over me.
See,
It's
that's
something about
powerful.
word prayer. Trust me.
Ah, that's awesome. Now, Tanya, I don't see any questions that anybody's asked me. They'll probably ask afterwards. I get a lot of questions after after the show ends, and then I can have you answer them in the chat.
Okay.
But I did want to say, what would you say to the audience with regards to supporting the lupus battle? I know that we can donate monies. Uh, excuse me. We can read, we
Right.
can study, but what are some things that you as an advocate and as a representative would tell us to do with regard to the lupus?
Okay. First of all, there's no two lupus cases alike. So if you know someone personally, watch them, see what they go through, Um, be a great support, but also do your research so you'll know exactly what a person is really going through. And don't assume that a person is not in pain or not going through something that they're telling you. Because, like I said, lupus is a invisible disease. You cannot look at a person and tell if they have lupus or not. You might can tell if they're in a flare, especially because I get the butterfly rash every time. So, but a lot of people don't get the butterfly rash. So it's kind of hard. And I think they need to break lupus down a little bit because the symptoms are just all over the place.
Exactly, exactly. And I find that to be true with a lot of autoimmune diseases.
Yes,
And like they'll say, oh, yeah, well, you got XYZ. And then 4 or 5 years down the road, you get a different doctor. And they're like, I don't know why they told you that. You don't have
right.
that. You have this. So a lot of the symptoms are similar for a lot of different diseases. And then, like you say, some of them cross over and they're
Mm-hmm.
just all over the place.
Yeah,
I was when you were talking about lupus being an invisible disease, and that's one of the same things that we say about sarcoidosis,
yes,
because you can't just look at a person unless they have it on their skin. I know some people get sarcoid on their skin, in their eyes, stuff like that. But if the average person, you can't just look at them and say, "Oh, they have sarcoidosis."
right.
Yeah.
And
So
then
the
you also know that it affects your eyes. I've had over 8 surgeries on my eyes due to lupus. Almost went totally blind. It could
wow,
be a lot of things. Kidneys function. Like I said, I lost my kidney, but I did not have to do dialysis. They
wow,
caught it in time. So I only have one kidney that's working.
wow. You are absolutely um, blessed and inspiring and encouraging to me and to others who will watch this and hear your story because I'm not one of those people that likes to compare sicknesses. Like when somebody says, oh, I have a headache, and then somebody says, oh, well, somebody else has cancer. Like
Right,
so my response is, well, does that mean I don't have a headache? Like, why are you telling me that? That doesn't mean I don't have a headache because they have cancer.
right.
So I think that we just have to just be honest and be transparent like you are. And I just absolutely love that. And girl, I'm telling you, I'm loving this tiara. I'm gonna have to join. I'm gonna have to do something to get me one. Somebody going to make. I'm gonna, I'm gonna have to research, find out what I got to do to get me one of those. But
Okay. And then I want to make
uh-huh.
you lupus is so hard to diagnose. They really don't have a test to really confirm actually that you have it because they do an ANA blood test and it could come up negative, but you still have lupus. Because mine was a false negative for at least 2 years, but I had it.
Wow.
So
That's why I say,
got
if
research.
you don't have faith, and I don't push, that God down people's throats, but
Yes.
I
But
understand. I just could not survive. My faith sustains me
right.
because if I didn't have my faith and if I didn't trust that God has my back and that even on my worst days God is looking out for me, I just don't know how I would make it because
No.
like you say, the test medical science is wonderful, and I thank God for it. But there's just so much discrepancies. Like you can go to two doctors, have the same test done, and get two totally different diagnoses.
Right.
Wow. Miss Joyce said, yes, that is a beautiful tiara. I think
Thank
she wants one now.
you.
So, what is the name of the organization for lupus that our audience can look up and find out more information about how to donate or what have you?
Okay, it's several. You have the Lupus Foundation of America. The organization that I represent is Gibson Lupus Arc. They do a lot for lupus patients. And actually, the lady, Zarel Gibson, she has lupus herself.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's so many different organizations out here.
Okay, well, we'll just stick with those two for right now
Okay.
and support you and what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm blessed that God allowed me to connect with you
Yes.
because, there's so many people on social media that are on your friend list, but there are very few people that you really feel a connection to.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are one of those people. And that's why I reached out to you because I absolutely wanted you to be on this show this month
Thank you.
to
And I
share your testimony.
got something else I did this past Christmas. I did a toy drive for the Atlanta adoption place down in Atlanta. It's where by me being adopted, I choose charities like that. And
Yes,
had 300 people, kids that needed toys and teenagers for Christmas.
yes,
And I got together with, she's like my sister, Sakina. And we got together and did a car show, and we had over
wow,
6,000 toys. So all the kids
wow.
toys, and the facility ended up with toys. And I'm doing a book drive this summer for them since they're out of school.
Yeah.
I'm one of those kids that read every summer because my parents were teachers and they didn't
Yeah.
make not just play around the summer. So
Yeah.
I'm doing a book drive for them to get books in for them because they also do like apartments for families. So, and they have where you can donate different stuff like cooking ware and everything.
Okay. That's powerful, Tanya. And I'm glad that you shared that because it further confirms that you have a caring spirit, that you have a charitable heart, and that you're always looking for ways to bless other people. And
Right.
that's one of the reasons why you're always blessed.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we close out?
No, other than if you know someone with lupus, hold them a little tighter, love them a little harder, and let them know that you're there for them and always lend a listening ear.
I love that. I love that. And that's a wonderful way to close out this segment because that is exactly what is needed right now. People to be heard.
Right.
Um, I was talking with a young lady. She was saying that she'd been going back and forth to several doctors over the last few months, and she doesn't think anybody's listening to her. Like, the whole, well, I don't see anything wrong with you, or you're okay, or it's just this, it's just that. And so we want people to hear us
Right.
when we speak, and not just our doctors. We want our family and friends and those close to us to hear us. So again, Tanya, I thank you so so much for
I,
joining, and you have given me a lot of information, a lot to think about, and
yes.
I'm sure that the audience will also have a lot to think about. And prayerfully, before this Lupus Awareness Month is over, we will hold somebody a little closer, like you said, those
Yes.
that we know.
Tomorrow is World Lupus Day. Wear purple for someone with lupus.
All right, tomorrow is World Lupus Day. It's funny because I have on my purple, and when I saw your post today about wearing purple tomorrow, I was like, I wore purple all last month because sarcoidosis is purple
Right.
also.
Yes.
So I love purple anyway, so I don't
Yes.
have a problem with it. But tomorrow is World Lupus Day, so we also want to pay extra attention tomorrow to how we can join in the fight against this autoimmune disease. Now, Tanya, before we close, tell us how we can contact you, whether we want some cookies and cakes or more information about your advocacy, how can we contact you?
You can reach me at Tonya Johnson on Facebook. You can reach me at Miss MISST Noel at yahoo.com. Or you can call me at 404-988-7916.
Okay, now do you ship cookies and cakes out of state?
I ship cookies, not cakes, only pound cakes.
All right, I'm serious. You think I'm joking? I'm gonna have to get some because I was looking at those pictures like, my God, that looks good.
Thank you.
Not it won't help my diabetes situation, but it sure looks good.
I sugar free stuff too.
I'm just messing. But again, I want to I thank you so much for joining me. I
Thank you.
I trust that you enjoyed your time with me, that I didn't make you too nervous.
I'm good.
And good. And thank you for spending this time with us and for sharing your heart with us. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Bye bye.
Bye bye.